Another thing is, please feel free to just utilize the chat in general while teams are presenting. Yeah, just sound off, use the forum, use the chat, whatever works for y'all. That'd be great. And yeah, I think we can, Quizlet's next. Awesome, take it away.
All right, awesome. Hey y'all, we're Team Quizlet. Today we're going to be presenting Quizlet Converse, and it's a deep dive at collaborative studying.
Hi, I'm Sachi. I'm the project mentor for this team.
I'm Kamia. I'm one of the consultants.
I'm Michael, and I'm also a consultant.
I'm Narissa.
And I'm Dylan. And I'd like us to also not forget our sixth teammate, Sophia. So Sophia is actually a persona that we developed through research. And Sophia, she has a really hard time collaborating with other students to build conceptual knowledge. And Quizlet wanted to work with BI because over 8 million students like Sophia share the same problem, actually. It's this idea of studying during a remote time and, of course, just online. And this is why we designed Quizlet Converse. It's a new study mode on Quizlet.com that allows students to collaboratively study over a shared screen. So we're thinking about Jackbox or Kahoot if you've played either of those games. But before we jump into the final design solution, I'd love to pass it off to the rest of my team to tell you all about how we got here.
Yeah, so starting off, we can discuss research and how we developed our persona Sophia and our product. So as a brief overview, we have 3 different research methods. So we did 8 competitive analyses. We sent out a survey that reached 252 people at UC Berkeley and other universities. And from that, we conducted 21 one-on-one interviews. So starting off with the competitive analyses, we looked into 8 other platforms that are also in the edtech space that are of the similar caliber as Quizlet, such as Kahoot, SparkNotes, and Anki, which is another Quizlet, another flashcard tool. So some of the things that we found were that people really love Kahoot because of that gamified learning experience, and Google Drive because of the ease of collaboration that comes along with it. So now moving on to our survey, we reached a lot of people, as seen from the number, and we were asking questions that had to do with people's study habits, how they collaborate, their experience with Quizlet, and kind of remote learning as well, because that's a big thing that's influenced a lot of people this year. So one stat that we wanted to share that we felt was really important was popular ways to collaboratively study. And so we found that people really enjoyed the idea of explaining concepts to their friends, having a collaborative document or a study guide maybe to maintain, and being able to test each other on different questions from a practice exam or previous exams. And from there, we conducted 21 one-on-one interviews. So these are from people who had expressed an interest in our survey, and they were made up of past Quizlet users and current Quizlet users. So we kind of went on a deeper dive of what we touched on during the survey. So we asked them to walk through their experiences of studying, collaborating, and their general experience with Quizlet. And you can see on the side here, we picked up some quotes that we felt really represented their experience and our persona Sophia's experience about how online collaboration can be pretty difficult to maintain. It's more difficult than it was in person. How diversity of thought is really important when it comes down to working with other people, and how when you're coming together to work with other people, it's really more about not establishing an understanding, but building off where you already were and being able to fill in those blanks. So from here, we'll now move on to synthesis and what we did with all this information.
Yeah, so for synthesis, we did 3 main methods that we used, which were affinity mapping, personas, as well as journey mapping. And Dylan mentioned her at the beginning, but our main persona for this project is Sophia. We got her from the original Quizlet personas, but we adapted her more to our problem space, including how she wants to study sets collaboratively, as well as grapple with more conceptual topics, and also really just adapt better to the remote environment. And based off of Sophia and our research, we really divided, I guess, the user's journey, specifically Sophia's journey, into 4 steps, which is context being like the remote environment, task assignment being when a professor says a midterm is going to be, approach how Sophia would go about studying for that midterm, and then assessment, which is actually taking the midterm and reflecting on how she studied. And so we got 4 major insights from each step. So the first insight from the context is that in a remote environment, students are really struggling to kind of study without the tactility of an in-person environment. From the second stage of just the task assignment, we realized that students like Sophia don't really start with collaboration. They really start studying on their own first before they go and collaborate with other people. In the third stage of approach, we learned that students like Sophia really like to externalize the information and grapple with more conceptual topics by just like talking out loud to themselves or talking out loud with other people. And then lastly, in our kind of end stage, we learned that Sophia really would only collaborate with other people when she knows that she'll benefit from someone else's knowledge or someone else's perspectives. And that was something that was really important, which kind of considering Sophia and really empathizing with all of these insights as well as her, we came up with our final how might we question, which is really, how can we help students like Sophia efficiently and really productively build their knowledge through communicating with Quizlet so that all users can really benefit from each other's perspectives.
Yeah, so to tackle this how might we and to help students like Sophia, we conducted a few ideation exercises, the most productive one being Crazy Eights. And from this exercise, we came up with a plethora of ideas, and it was 8 per designer. So some notable ideas include a document converter, a browser extension, and a diagram and pen tool. So on the next slide, you can see our most well-received ideas. This included a Q&A, which is a Jaxbox-inspired study mode that allowed students to choose their own topic or question and then answer it on their own devices that would eventually lead to a discussion. The second one being mind map flashcards, which is a shared board that would allow users to group flashcards together. The third one being a live queue, which allows students to display queued flashcards to promote discussion. And the last one being flashcard comments, which is a feature that allows students to add comments of any additional info onto flashcards. So holistically, our team strongly leaned towards the Q&A concept. However, we felt that it was missing an aspect, as we really wanted to add value to existing decks to help avid Quizlet users like Sophia. So we thought to ourselves, how could we help Quizlet users improve and evolve their own frequently used decks? So we decided to incorporate both the live queue and the flashcard comments. So users can queue flashcards to prompt discussion, while they could add comments to send flashcards through this study mode. So with this in mind, it brings us to the final product we moved forward with, Quizlet Converse. And through this study mode, we aim to tackle students' love for externalizing information verbally and encouraging diversity of thought. And so taking a closer look at our project, as we headed into Lo-Fi, we took a lot of inspiration from Jackbox, which is so primarily trying to preserve the experience of a shared screen paired with an individual mobile device. And we aim to promote the shared experience and also included other visual check-ins such as, did you get this right? And having ready checks and making sure to translate this on the desktop screen. So moving into Mid-Fi, we emulated a lot of our designs using the actual Quizlet app as a reference. So first off, for our shared screen or desktop screen, we focused on keeping users organized and on track. We prioritize simplicity and clarity, as the forefront of our product is the discussion aspect. As for our mobile screens, we prioritize giving the user a chance to add more value to their existing decks. Additionally, as we wanted to encourage divergent perspectives, we designed the mobile space for the user to express their own individual feelings, thoughts, and opinions. So students like Sophia would find a lot of value in this product as it really prioritizes diversity of thought.
And lastly, our last sprint in this project was once again prototyping. We were super lucky to be able to prototype with 5 users in depth for about 45 minutes each to hash out all of the UX and usability issues in our product, as well as work within the Quizlet design system to provide a more high fidelity design. And so this is Quizlet Converse. Again, on the right-hand screen, you see desktop, which is again shared across a platform such as like Google Hangouts or Zoom. And then on the left-hand side, you see a mobile device, which is what all participants in the session would be using to participate. So here we're just selecting questions to discuss in the session out of a flashcard set. And the next step, after all questions are queued and selected from every participant, we're able to submit our answers to the questions. So here we see, what is the climax of Little Red Riding Hood, as an example. And the last step is, again, harnessing this power of like diversity of thought, right? Trying to learn from other students. We're able to see all participants' answers to the question. And here we're now creating an environment and a space for all students to discuss discrepancies in their answers. And that's the final design of our project. A really big highlight along the way was being able to present this project to the CEO of Quizlet, as well as the senior director of design leads, product people at Quizlet, and we got some awesome feedback. The CEOs said that he was very impressed with our work, which was awesome to hear. And yeah, now would be a great time to put in any questions if you have them in the form. And yeah.
Awesome. So if there are any questions in the chat, Team Quizlet, feel free to address those now, or yeah, when we can take a look at the form later. But thank you so much. That was fantastic. Moving on now to Patagonia.
Technical difficulties, sorry.
Okay, yeah, we'll get started now. Hello, everybody. We're Team Patagonia, and welcome to our presentation. I'm Erin Reardon, a second year studying biology.
I'm Kelly. I am studying bioengineering.
I'm sure I'm a business student. I'm a fourth year.
Hi, I'm Aaron. I'm a sophomore studying Cog Sci.
Hi, everyone. I'm Edward. I'm the project mentor. I am a fourth year studying environmental economics and policy.
So the Patagonia team initially came up to us with the idea of using QR codes in packaging as a method to decrease waste and take advantage of digital spaces. With that in mind, the question that was at the core of this project and all its proceedings was, how might we design a more sustainable and digital shopping experience via packaging? The next slides will follow the steps we took to craft our solution, so please enjoy. The first part of our process was to research our users in order to better understand them. In order to do that, we decided to conduct surveys, contextual inquiries, and interviews to tackle different aspects of our problem space at different depths. So we'll go over surveys first. The goal for our surveys was to explore North American consumer shopping habits and familiarity with QR codes and hang tags. We did this through a 7-minute Qualtrics survey that ran for 2 weeks, and we sent this to users on LinkedIn, Facebook, Reddit, and to the Patagonia internal teams. The questions in the survey were split into 3 broad sections: the general questions, QR codes, and hang tags. Shown on the slide are some of the questions we used in the survey, such as, do you own a smartphone, and what are the most important features on a hang tag to you? We initially collected over 300 responses to our survey, but some were bots or fake, so they had to be filtered out. Out of the 282 filtered responses, most participants were from North America, specifically Canada and United States, and a majority were either white or Asian. Of these same survey participants, 2/3 were female, and most fell in the age range of 18 to 44 years old.
Yeah, so next I'm going to be talking a little bit about our contextual inquiry. So to give a brief overview of contextual inquiry is an interview method where users are observed and questioned while they interact with their environment. So we asked ourselves, how do Patagonia consumers perceive and interact with QR codes and hang tags? And to answer this question, we conducted 5 to 10 minute contextual inquiry interviews with Patagonia consumers while taking precautionary COVID measures. We did this in locations at San Francisco and Toronto within the span of 2 weeks in October. And in the picture, you can see some of our team members at the San Francisco Patagonia. So some of the questions we asked were regarding purchasing decisions, QR codes, as well as hang tags, asking about people's familiarity and asking people to interact with hang tags or QR codes that we had. In terms of our demographic breakdown, we had 30 participants, 20 from Toronto and 10 from San Francisco, and predominantly they were Caucasian. We had a pretty even gender distribution, and in terms of age, most of our participants were under the age of 40. We did also have someone who was 82, which was very interesting and provided a lot of insight. Next up, we conducted some interviews. These interviews were one-on-one sessions consisting of a series of questions to gauge user thoughts on our product. And while we were doing these interviews, we really asked ourselves, what are North American consumer sentiments towards QR codes and hang tags? To give a brief overview, we conducted 30-minute interviews with consumers from all around the US, especially to target people underrepresented by contextual inquiry. We did this in October, and we sourced our participants from our survey. And some questions that we asked really echoed our contextual inquiry, but we kind of went more in depth. For instance, in shopping habits, we asked participants to walk us through a journey of their shopping decisions, and again, asking about hang tags and QR codes. We had participants again from all over the US, from Oregon to Wisconsin to Texas. And again, there was a pretty even split of gender breakdown, and all our participants were between the ages of 18 and 34. And next, I'm going to be talking about synthesis and how we gathered all our insights. So we did this through an affinity map. Affinity mapping is a technique used to organize large amounts of data and create insights from them. To do this, we transcribed all our raw qualitative data onto a Miro board, which helped us collaborate really well. We grouped data based on commonalities, and we generated insights from these trends.
Yeah, so next up we talk about the insights that we found from research, which we then used to kind of guide our design process. So our first insight is that when purchasing clothing, the most important information for consumers to see is price, fit and feel, material, and functionality. And so here are some standout quotes that we thought really illustrated this. And also in our contextual inquiry, we noted that price, functionality, and social responsibility were frequently mentioned in terms of what was important for consumers to know. In terms of actual hang tag usage, consumers primarily look at the price, but besides that, they also care about functionality and environmental impact. And from our survey, we found that price, product, style name, and brand name are pretty frequently mentioned in terms of what was important. In our surveys and contextual inquiries, we found some pretty similar results. How often people look at a hang tag, however, tends to vary, and that was what we uncovered from our in-store interviews. So moving more into the QR code space, more often than not, consumers know how to use a QR code. From our surveys and virtual interviews, we basically found out that the majority of our participants knew and had used a QR code in the past. In our in-store interviews, a majority were also familiar with QR codes. In terms of how they were able to scan it and whether they were able to do that smoothly or with difficulty, we found that again, the majority were able to do that. So in general, there's a lot of use of QR codes, and it is also pretty accessible and easy to use for users. And QR codes are associated with generating URLs, links to apps, and also payments. In terms of actual consumer sentiments on QR codes, we found that consumers either have neutral or positive opinions about having some sort of smart packaging. So during our contextual inquiry, we asked basically how it would change the experience, and a pretty even split said it would either improve the experience, it would be a bonus but not required, it would not change the experience, or they simply wouldn't scan. So we think that a QR code on a hang tag would indeed improve a customer experience at best, and at worst, consumers simply wouldn't scan it. Here are some concerns about QR codes. It takes too much time to scan. People really only care about price, size, and materials, and thus wouldn't use it. And also there's a lack of knowledge about where the QR code will lead to. And so when we design, we want to keep this into consideration and make sure that our design fulfills these pain points. The benefits of having a QR code, however, are that people can see more information, such as reviews, and also for Patagonia, it is much more sustainable. And obviously Patagonia is a really eco-friendly brand, so that is in their best interest. And kind of some next steps and key takeaways from these insights. Basically, we recommend that Patagonia pursue a QR code on a hang tag because it is a way to reduce consumption costs as well as fulfill user needs, as long as certain information like price, size, fit, and feel is already printed on a hang tag.
Yeah, so we took everything that our insights, and we wanted to create a solution, an engaging solution through the hang tags using a QR code. And so the two cases that consumers would be interacting with a hang tag was when they would be in-store shopping, whether they were at a Patagonia store or a not Patagonia store looking to buy a Patagonia. And the other use case would be when a consumer received their Patagonia package in the mail and they interacted with the hang tags on their articles of clothing then. So we wanted to create an experience that considered both of these cases and would serve our consumers with the information necessary in both situations. So our prototyping process, we went through a low fidelity where we just started with brainstorming and simple sketches, and we went through a mid fidelity phase where we started to translate those ideas that we liked into a digital space. And then high fidelity was when we created interaction design and really started to visualize how the experience would look as close as possible. So this is our design for what a hang tag would look like for Patagonia. And the biggest thing that we wanted to do was remove the inserts and really minimize the amount of consumption that Patagonia was taking with their hang tags. So having this one side, one slip design on front and back seemed to be the best route to go that way. The size is comparable in that it works for all Patagonia items, whether they're really small or really large items. The hang tag is large enough and notable. So we have the logo on the front and the mission statement, and we have the product name, size, and fit very clearly on the front of the hang tag because that was information that our consumers really prioritized, which we saw through our research. Now on the back, we have an impact statement, know more, do better, which is something that Patagonia routinely emphasizes to their consumers. And we wanted to have that impact statement so that way we could incentivize Patagonia's users to scan that QR code in order to receive the additional information that's not immediately available to them. So the existing SKU sticker would also provide the price and colorway, which was also important information to our consumers. And the rest of the information would be tucked into the QR code. So what about all the other information you asked? We also went through what a QR code experience would look like. So let's just say you're Sally and you love to go in-store shopping. You went to a Patagonia store and noticed a hang tag with a QR code in it. So you would see the hang tag and you would click on the banner that would take you to this choose your own adventure type situation. We opted in for this decision because it allowed for the same kind of design, whether you were Sally in-store shopping or you were Amanda, another persona, which you will meet soon enough, unboxing your online order. So when you go in through the shopping in-store experience, you get a product page that offers immediate access to reviews, which is something that our consumers really prioritize. You can select a different color, a size, and immediately have options to purchase on the first landing page. You can purchase the product as well, so really drive that purchasing decision. And then features, sizing, and care, which were also important information to our consumers. And we had this option to restructure the page to where this information was easily navigable to where you didn't have to scroll a lot. Availability and reviews, again, prioritized on this page because that is information that helps drive the purchasing decision, and then emphasizing the impact that the consumer would be making if they picked up this Patagonia product. Offering similar products, so that way they could also look at other products if this is not exactly what they were looking for. The other experience would be unboxing my online order. So you would go through a similar page, but because you have already received your you would receive a description with an option to immediately leave a review, which is something that Patagonia wanted to prioritize, to where consumers could give instant feedback to Patagonia regarding their purchased item. It would have a summary over here of what exactly your size, colorway, etc. And then it would also have similarly features, care, and then returns, which is something that would be important to that consumer, and then impact again, and then emphasizing really give us your experience, so that way Patagonia can get more information on how to improve the experience for the user. Again, so the second experience that we walk through would be similar to what Amanda would experience when she receives her products in the mail after placing an online order.
So the second facet of our digital design centers around the question, how might we create a digital unpackaging experience for users? This facet is especially important under current circumstances where more and more orders are being placed and fulfilled online. In this scenario, customers like Mark who order online can also access their item details in one organized space through a QR code that appears on the packaging of their delivered order, as shown on the slide here. Mark would simply scan the QR code, click the resulting pop-up link, and be directed first to a dynamic video representative of Patagonia and its customer base. This video would ideally tell the user more about where and how their clothing was made, as well as highlight Patagonia's values and pursuits. They would have the opportunity to skip the video if they want, as well as revisit it at the top of their page through that banner. The order page itself tells users their order number, the date of purchase, the details of the items they ordered, and where these items are at in the delivery process. If an item card is clicked, the customer is redirected to the same page as customers like Amanda, who directly scan the QR code on the hang tag of their ordered item. The main difference here is that having one QR code representative of the entire order simplifies the process and makes information more easily available and accessible. As the user scrolls down, they would be presented with the opportunity to quickly rate their order, as well as easily navigate to pages such as returns, exchanges, and order history. This reflects priorities that users identified earlier in our user research. And as the user scrolls further down, it's pretty much the same as our previous prototypes, but they would be presented with cards featuring stories, initiatives, and issues that are important to Patagonia and its customer base. So that pretty much marks the end of our presentation. We'd like to thank our client, Jennifer, for being a joy to work with and for making this a super fun project to work on. Thank you for listening.
Awesome. If anyone does have any questions, again, feel free to utilize the form. One thing I wanted to mention was that if we have time at the end of the showcase, we've gotten a couple questions in already, and so we'll try to address them at the end of this if we can. If not, we will be posting, the teams will be able to address them later, and we're going to post responses on our Facebook page. So yeah, amazing job, Patagonia. That was so great. People are sounding off in the chat that those prototypes were dope. So congratulations. And next, Kiva.
Okay, so welcome everyone. We're excited to be presenting what we've worked on this semester with Kiva. And I'll just like to introduce or invite my teammates to introduce themselves.
I'm Mahalet. I'm a first-year consultant at BI, and I'm hoping to study cognitive science.
Hi, my name is Harrison. I'm a second year studying business and cognitive science.
And I'm Francis. I am a senior studying architecture.
Hi, I'm Abby. I'm a junior studying industrial engineering and global poverty and practice.
I'm Tara. I'm studying cognitive science and computer science, and I was the project mentor for this group.
Yeah, so today we'll be going over a few things, including project overview, understanding Kiva, going through some of the interviews that we did, research, and also ideation and prototype. So for project overview, I'll be introducing Kiva a little bit because some of you guys might not be familiar with the company, but Kiva is an international nonprofit focusing on using microfinance to help the underserved communities, meaning there are a lot of different sectors to the organization, but we were tasked to focus on what was kiva.org, which is the website that they have. And the platform where people can go on and make small loans to borrowers in need. So there are currently 1.9 million lenders on the platform, impacting over 70 different countries, ranging from helping farmers in Africa getting started with their own business, and also ranging to sending young girls to school in the Philippines. And at the start of the project, we were presented with the prompt, how might we help people, or how might we help lenders feel good by doing good? And our research and kind of ideation and prototype all centered around this question. We were tasked to look into how we can help Kiva lenders feel the impact and their accomplishments and foster a sense of kind of good feeling when one performs an act of kindness. And through interviews, research, and iterative prototyping, we really aim to envision how we can help Kiva lenders feel even better about their actions as they make a great impact all around the world. Next up, jumping into understanding Kiva. So at the start of the project, we had the chance of interviewing or talking to 5 different Kivans, which is workers of Kiva. And these stakeholders range from CEO to the marketing project director. And these conversations really helped us get a better understanding of what Kivans have envisioned for the years to come, but also some of the pain points that they think can be addressed. So here are a few of the Kivans that we talked to. We had the honor of speaking to the CEO, also the senior product designer, MVP marketplace, director of marketing, and also the senior project mentor. And after these interviews, we found that all the conversations were centered around a few of the key themes that you see here on the screen. For example, pain points on lender repayment, social accountability, monthly good, which is a lending subscription service that Kiva offers. And there were also conversations around how important storytelling is to Kiva, and also the simplicity of user experience to help people understand what Kiva really does and how people feel better about their experience. So we kept in mind these insights as we moved into the research and later on the ideation and prototyping.
And we're going to move on to talking about our user interviews. So here we have our Kiva interview guide. And the main goals for these interviews were to find out how does Kiva currently make their users feel good? What parts of Kiva do users typically not feel good? And what are opportunities for us to help Kiva users feel good? Next. And here are some of our demographics. We made a total of 11 one-on-one interviews, one-on-two interviews, sorry. We usually had 2 of us versus 1 interviewee. One of us took notes and another one conducted the interview. The age range of our interviewees were from 48 to 74. So we had a kind of the upper range of ages with a plethora of different professions. We also, another important statistic is 100% have been with Kiva for over 5 years. So these are kind of long-term Kiva users. And we kind of had an even scale in terms of gender. Yeah, and we also conducted a feel-good survey. The main goals was to kind of understand why people do good, what makes them feel good, and when they're doing something good. So this is kind of get a general view of the idea of feeling good. And we distributed this survey mainly through social media, sending in Facebook, our personal connections. We totally got 80 survey responses from an age range of 16 to 61. Yeah, and this goes on to our insights from our interviews and our research through the survey. So our insight 1 is lenders don't feel the need to seek validation from others after lending on Kiva to feel good. So based on the interviews, Kiva users weren't very enthusiastic about sharing their loans to other people, specifically strangers. So they were not kind of interested in kind of a social media platform where users can share their loans with their friends. And Kiva lenders do not necessarily feel good when there's recognition for their good acts. So when they're lending on Kiva, they don't actually look for any validation for the good acts for lending. And also 10% of survey respondents indicated that being praised for doing good was their biggest motivator for feeling good. So we can see how, the main kind of contributor to people doing good isn't actually the praise that they get after. And these are some quotes that we pulled from our interviews. So for example, reality of interacting with other people is not going to happen. I'm not interested in getting to know other borrowers. I don't care for interacting with other people unless I know them. And you kind of get the gist. So people don't actually like, having other people know or kind of like let them know that they're doing good. That's the whole gist of this insight. And our insight 2 is lenders enjoy knowing that the people they referred become active Kiva lenders. So yeah, so this insight kind of revolves around referrals. So according to the interviews, Kiva lenders get excited when their friends or family join Kiva. Yeah, so for example, lenders like Mike Walsh mentioned that they feel great about recommending friends to Kiva. So this is kind of an opportunity for us to kind of capitalize. So Mike, among others, also said that, by letting other people know that they can change lives through Kiva, they can also, spread the doing good and, change more people's lives. These are also some quotes that we got. So when I receive a gift card, I feel the excitement and gratification. I'm excited to share loans to people I know. I like sharing the idea of fund it forward. It is gratifying when there's a good opportunity to share that with someone who would kind of get value out of it. Yeah, so these kind of quotes kind of show, people like, having other people join Kiva and kind of enjoying that experience together. Next.
Yeah, so the third insight that we collected was that lenders feel good when they lend based on their personal affinity. Yeah, so there's tons of different lending categories on Kiva, ranging from specific countries to specific demographic groups and business interests. And we found that many lenders felt good when they contributed towards loans that really resonated with them personally. 9 interviewees mentioned that the enjoyment of making an impact on something that they care about is something that they care about. And as you can see, there's like tons of categories, the one we show being women, with a bunch of loans that you can choose and filter on the Kiva platform. One quote that we have to back this up is that what I feel good about is that I always choose women. Every time I do it, I feel like I'm empowering some women, and that's really important. We saw this a lot. And I'm a vegetarian and I'm really into animal rights. I don't ever want to support someone who's going to be slaughtering animals. So I feel good when I shift my giving towards something that helps the animals. So this kind of just shows that people have specific interests that they feel personally connected to, and they feel better when they're using Kiva when they can actually contribute to these causes. And then moving on to some of the survey responses that also back up this insight. When we asked the question, what makes you feel good when you do something good? People said, putting my time towards things that I care about, supporting members of communities that I identify with. It connects me with things that I align with my own value and being able to support my community. The fourth insight that we had was that while most lenders feel good after seeing the repayment emails, other lenders are indifferent. It was actually a really interesting insight for us because when we were conducting the interviews with Kivans, repayments was one of the things that stood out to at least the Kivans when they were lending. When we conducted our user interviews, we had a very specific demographic of people we were interviewing. And because of this, some of them expressed that they didn't have the time to pay attention to the repayment updates, but those who did really expressed that they've got a lot of value out of it. And some said that they felt good and even were motivated to do more good when they received these repayment updates. And some quotes that have to do with this is that it feels good because it tells me that the person that received the loan is doing well, seeing results, so it's not just a do it and go. I don't read a lot of the stories about how their life has become better because I don't have time, that being one of the responses that showed that sometimes people don't actually have the time to pay attention to the repayment updates. And then in a survey response we received, someone said that, oh, that was the seeing results, so it's just not a do and go. One person said, I don't really worry about the repayment email. I don't pick loans based on repayments. This was really important. A lot of people said that they lent on Kiva because they cared about helping people. The repayments was more of just like a bonus. And I don't read a lot of stories about how their life has become better because I don't have time. And then also, I love to follow up. I love the follow-up stories too, because I feel like there's more of a personal connection. And I'm not just a checkbook to them, but I'm really participating in making it better for somebody else. And lastly, it's good to see what people have done with the money and how it's improved their lives.
Yeah, and our last insight we got was that reflecting on past loans is an enjoyable experience for lenders to understand their overall impact. And so according to the interviews, pretty much Kiva users really enjoy looking at their loan history because they get to see how much their original loans have pretty much doubled up, tripled up over time. So it's really an enjoyable experience for them to see how much their loans have grown. And these are some of the interview quotes that we pulled. So some mentioned that it just feels awesome, wonderful, like looking at their loans tells them a story, and they almost can't believe how many loans they've given away over time.
Oh, sorry, you can go back a slide, my bad. So the next stage that we engaged in was ideation and prototyping. So after looking at all the insights we collected from our user research, we actually began prototyping. So all of us worked on separate ideas that we then presented to our client, Ollie. And we backed these ideas up with user research as well as secondary research that we collected separately. Then we presented the first iterations of these ideas to him again, and he gave us some feedback and advised us to form pairs and work on joint ideas that were blends of the first four ideas. So we ended up with 2 concrete prototypes. Francis and I worked on a gamification prototype, and Abby and Harrison worked on a timeline prototype. So starting with gamification, me and Francis worked on this one. So this is a prototype that I created for our first iteration. The goal was to help people feel good by doing good by playing games. I found some research that this was something that was already researched to make people feel good when experiencing an online platform. So the idea was that every day someone returned to Kiva, they would take a spin on this wheel, and that would allow them to win a certain amount of points. And with those points, you could then earn some Kiva credit down the line. And like I said, the points you could cash in for Kiva credit. So there would also be games that you could play on the website that you could also use to win these points. And the game kind of operated as like a trivia game. So you would be learning as you were playing the game, hoping to make people feel good because people feel good while learning and also while playing games.
Okay, and I'm just gonna keep it short for the iteration one, but this is a example of a screen where people along the same lines as Mahalet, or people can complete certain tasks where they can earn Kiva credits that could use towards their next loan. And here's another 2 screens of the first iteration. And we are at our second iteration where in this one, we kind of combined me and Mahalet's idea where when the lender first enter the website, they'll see a pop-up that reminds them of, oh, you can come back and check where progress is in terms of earning extra Kiva credits. And here, as you can see, there is a progress bar where people can keep track of all the things that they've done to earn the extra Kiva credits, where it's small tasks of doing good. And the rationale behind this was there are research that kind of shows that people doing a variety of different goods can help them feel good as well. And going back to what Mahalet's point was, which is it'll help keep people coming back to the platform.
So like I mentioned earlier, we performed some secondary research. A lot of the research that we did for our second iteration was to back up the idea of gamification. As mentioned before in some of the user interviews, people said that they like the idea of doing some sort of point system or games on Kiva. So we also wanted to show that that was something that was mentioned before. But as shown in these 2 research studies, there has been evidence that show that gamification has positive impacts on user experiences, and it also decreases unhappiness.
And just reiterating some of the rationale behind the designs, a lot of interviewees mentioned that they just want to do more good and that makes them feel good. And there is also research again on doing a variety of different goods. So by completing different doing good tasks, people can along the way earn Kiva credits, which will help them or assist them to do more good. We can go on to the next slide.
The prototype that Harrison and I worked on was more of a timeline and anniversary combination, so I'll go ahead and describe my first iteration of the timeline. So this is the first iteration. As you can see, it's a low fidelity storyboard, but pretty much my intention of this was for lenders to understand their impact on Kiva and how much they have truly helped others through visual aid reflection. And so, for instance, on the website, this could be a tab next to the portfolio and an app. You could swipe to its own tab. So in the storyboard, what's going on is like, you imagine you're scrolling through the website and it's kind of telling you a story of, or telling the lender their story of their history on Kiva and what they've done, maybe how many years they've lent, how much loans they've lent, to how many countries, how many active referrals they have, what the repayment rate is, and a motivational message at the end. And with each little pop-up, there's a see details thing that they could click on. And so this is a mid-fidelity prototype of that second iteration. And again, pretty much the intention is to allow users to celebrate their milestones on Kiva and for them to really understand their impact. So it's sort of a reflection through reading their own Kiva story almost. And so if the user were to navigate to their timeline, they would kind of scroll through this timeline and at each point something pops up and it's like bolded and it's in their face. So it's really easy for them to see. And the purpose of this is to highlight engaging scrolling and interactive scrolling. So that way it's really easy on the eyes and it's really easy to understand how much they've made impact on this app or on this website. And when you click on one of the see details, this is what it could possibly look like. And for this case, it would allow you to see what is going on with your borrower. So that's not just all numbers in the user space, but they could see what their borrowers are up to now and how they're doing and what they've done since they borrowed money from the Kiva lender. And really quickly, this is just some data for the rationale behind the decision, which was pulled from the previous Kiva interviews with the users, as well as secondary research through Instagram polls to reach a wider audience of maybe younger generations. And pretty much people said that they like interactive scrolling and that words of encouragement help them feel more motivated.
Yeah, and kind of working in tandem with the timeline is Kiva Anniversaries or Kiva Anniversaries. No, we're still working on the name, but Kiva Anniversaries is for now. All right, so just a kind of background on Kiva Anniversaries. So it's kind of pulling from the user insight, reflecting on past loans and enjoyable experience for lenders to understand their overall impact. We kind of want to form a way for users to kind of click on that timeline and look at it. And so these are just quotes that we pulled, but in terms of time, we can skip that for now. So for Kiva Universe, this is kind of a low fidelity sketch of what we wanted, this to look like, specifically on the mobile phone. And the goal is to kind of instill a sense of nostalgia into our users and allow users to reflect upon their past loans. On the website, anniversaries will appear on emails where they can click. We pulled that because repayments are usually updated on emails as well. And in apps, anniversaries will appear as notifications. And then once the notification is clicked, it will bring you to this screen. It's kind of a higher fidelity prototype and just explaining it further. So upon clicking or returning to the timeline, a happy anniversary message will appear with confetti. Users will be thanked for using Kiva, and then they will be prompted to scroll down and look at their timeline. And kind of we wanted to kind of focus this this prototype to a user persona, in that Michael Smith. So with the age of 58, occupation is he is retired, he's married, and he's been lending for Kiva for more than 5 years and made 10 plus loans. So each of these Kiva anniversaries will appear when a loan is fulfilled. That once a year passes, they will be notified about their past loan. And so we're kind of targeting towards users who've been using Kiva for a long time, so they can get those notifications a little more often. And it's a little more impactful for existing users. We also did an Instagram poll asking the question, do you feel good when seeing your 1 year ago pictures on Snapchat? We kind of pulling, a lot of this idea came from, the idea of Snapchat flashbacks. I personally enjoy, so we kind of did a poll on Instagram to kind of explore that, and 72% voted yes on this poll. So it's kind of showing, people do really like looking back at, their past and reflecting. Also, we kind of did some secondary research on nostalgia, specifically the Southampton Nostalgia Scale, which is a study in kind of a study started in Southampton in the early 2000s. These are some quotes that we pulled. So, recently scientists have explored the bittersweet feeling of nostalgia, finding that it serves a positive function, improving mood. It also has been shown to help people feel better and counteract loneliness, boredom, and anxiety. Right.
Yeah, and so these are our next steps for moving forward. We plan to improve our prototypes and also conduct user testing with those prototypes, and to just continue conducting additional research. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you all for listening. And if you have any questions, please submit them to the Google form.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kiva. I actually just bought Kiva cards for my family, and that felt great. So awesome. Okay, next up, we have YouTube.
Hello, I'll share screen right now. You can see this, right? Okay. So this is the YouTube team where this is our new product for YouTube launch, kickstarting the YouTube journey, and I'll introduce the team.
Hi everyone, I'm Jessica and I'm a sophomore.
Hello, everyone. I'm Connor, also a sophomore.
Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany, I'm a senior.
And I'm Jago, I'm a junior, and I'm this project's project mentor. So just to outline what the project was and what YouTube is, as everyone knows, YouTube is an online video sharing platform whose mission is to give everyone a voice and show it in the world. But while a lot of people do want to become YouTubers, becoming one is actually very hard. According to YouTube, as they said so themselves, there's often no right way of doing so to become a YouTuber. People have different metrics of success, and the return on investment is often rather low compared to how far you have to grow. So thus YouTube approached us with the question, how may we help creators get started on YouTube and provide motivation along the way? So our job was to design a exploratory UI/UX mobile on YouTube Studio, which is their companion dashboard app for a channel creator. For a creator, our main target audience was for intentional new YouTubers worldwide, and is overall to help people stay on YouTube and become motivated to make videos. So just to recap what happened from midpoint, I'll be going over briefly the user research that we did. So just to understand the pain points what new content creators had, we distributed a survey with 156 survey respondents from worldwide, mostly on Reddit. We had 9 interviews with content creators. We did some competitive analysis on other similar video streaming services, and also just did a lot of secondary research on YouTube ecosystem, just the algorithm, and like problems that people had. So our biggest insight is that we found that new creators have to do the most work in the least motivating stage of the journey. So our main insights are that there's a lack of guidance starting out. Just when they start to create a channel, there's often no onboarding experience, and like a lot of their videos that they provide for helping YouTubers often pretty hidden. And also other competitors like Twitch have provide personalized creator packs when they first start their channel. The second point is that there's a huge dependence on analytics for direct feedback. So a lot of new YouTubers found analytics to be depressing, especially if they have not many videos or not many subscribers. So however, this is often the only form of motivation that YouTube provides that is instantaneous. There's a tendency for people to be obsessed with these numbers. Thirdly, new YouTubers are often intrinsically motivated to express themselves. So a majority of the people surveyed were most motivated by expressing themselves on YouTube. However, this is often not sustained as long because YouTube does not really provide any motivational tools outside of analytics. And lastly, the investment and consideration of making a single video is often not rewarded. So there's low investment for such a huge, you have to make a video, you have to think of a topic, to upload it, you have to engage with your audience. It takes 22 months on average for YouTubers just to get 1,000 subscribers. Especially as budding YouTubers try to create more content, our interviewers tell us that they often have a hard time not knowing what to make because the audience might like something else, or like the algorithm might conflict with their needs. So most users quit after 5 videos.
Okay, now let's dive into key synthesis. So from our research insights, we asked ourselves, in what ways can we provide guidance and motivation for new YouTubers? And we noticed that because current YouTube solutions deals with external motivation in the form of analytics, like subscriber or view count with the end goal of monetizing, we decided to focus our design on encouraging YouTubers' intrinsic motivations during the most critical time at the beginning of their journey. And this direction really allows us to focus on newer creators who are just getting started on YouTube. So from our interviews and research, we conducted polarity mapping to categorize our users on spectrums of those who are more motivated by self-expression to community building, and those who identified more as casual or serious content creators. And we decided to fully flesh out the casual and self-expressive persona in the upper left quadrant, because from our research, this persona would be the most likely to be demotivated in the early stages of being a YouTuber. And so our persona is Angel. She's a Gen Z female who wants to be a fashion YouTuber to express her inner fashionista, but she doesn't really know where to start. She's not too familiar with navigating through studio, but is very interested and motivated by sharing content with others and developing that creator confidence. And she's most motivated by positive feedback from content that she enjoys making. And some of her pain points include facing a lack of guidance on how to grow her channel, struggling with confidence as a creator because only feedback YouTube provides is through numbers. And for her, those are unfortunately low as she's just starting out. And ultimately, she wants to have a creative outlet for self-expression and be able to share quality content with her channel community. And so with this persona in mind, we created a journey map to see opportunities for intervention, and those points are highlighted in blue. And generally, creators' feelings throughout the journey correspond to their motivation levels, which are shown more clearly in this map. And so our goal was to solve or alleviate problems causing demotivation and maintain or further develop points of high motivation. And so since the problem space surrounds motivation at the beginning of a YouTuber's journey, we decided to prioritize the sections called first steps and planning in our subsequent ideation process. And so let's dive into ideation. So during ideation, our team decided to choose two focus areas, discovery and goals, and ideated initial design concepts as well as low fidelity sketches under these two guiding categories. And discovery is all about how to allow creators to discover and build their own YouTube identity as well as be inspired by others. And goals was more about surrounding creators' motivations and their dreams about YouTube. And so by narrowing down to these two focus areas, which we felt would be the most impactful in fostering intrinsic motivation, we were able to come up with more specific features.
So by focusing on these two focus areas, we led into four main concepts, these being an onboarding experience, a way to perceive memories, a sort of inspiration tab, and some type of task management system. So based on these four focus areas, we designed a program that anchored a full user experience on onboarding in order to see how we could best design an onboarding survey to help the user and potentially lead into the other features down the line. So out of these four focus areas or concepts, we focused on onboarding and saw how that would lead to the other features. So in doing this, we created a storyboard that showed how the onboarding can affect the user experience throughout the different parts of the journey and the different features that it would impact along the way, and if the whole experience was accounted for by this onboarding-centric experience. But here we took a moment to step back and realize that it wasn't really onboarding that was helping the users. It was actually these other things that came of onboarding. So we realized that onboarding was only the precursor to our real solution, which was the different outputs of onboarding. So after stepping back, we took a moment to refocus on the pain points that our users communicated with us. And so we came up with another finalized direction. Given this finalized direction, we made mid-fidelity prototypes of these different screens that would help users out at different points of the journey. So looking back at what we've done so far, we realized that the root of the problem was that when these users are at the early pivotal moments in their journey, they just didn't feel like it. Even though they were doing such important things for their YouTube career, they felt like they were just stuck on some arbitrary early stages, not really getting anything done. So we thought, how do we make them feel that these early pivotal moments are as important as they are? How can we have the users realize that at these points of stress and confusion, they're actually doing really big and really important things? So we created a journey of milestones and frustrations users face as they go through these different key milestones. We also identified targeted interventions at each milestone in relation to our features to help us better understand how different features can address these pain points along the way. So from these milestones came what became YouTube Launch, which is a way to guide new creators through the first steps of their YouTube journeys. We built Launch around two primary tabs. The first is Inspiration. Inspiration tab houses resources to help creators discover new ideas for content creation. This is the peak of our discovery focus area. The second is Milestones, as you mentioned earlier. Milestones are a series of key moments at the heart of every user's journey. We designed milestones to let users feel like they were getting stuff done and to let users feel like they were in control of their own goals.
Yeah, so next we'll be going over our iteration process. So with the finalized direction that Connor just mentioned, we created an information architecture to organize our new features into the existing YouTube Studio architecture. So while we were structuring this, we decided to have YouTube Launch be its own separate page in YouTube Studio because it's meant to be a temporary intervention for YouTubers who are just starting out. And then within the milestones tab that Connor said before, there's also details about each milestone to better guide the users to achieve the specific milestones as well. So I'll briefly go over the first iteration of our high fidelity prototypes. So using our structured information architecture that I just went over and our main user persona of Angel, we created high fidelity prototypes while using YouTube Studio's existing design system. Yeah, so this is our user testing. So after receiving feedback from our client, we did our second round of iterations. And because of time constraints, we were only able to user test a total of 4 current and aspiring YouTubers. Through our user tests, we learned that first, the users felt a disconnection between the graphics that we used and the description of the cards. So we changed our graphics to provide more context across all screens. The second is the dashboard screen. Users expressed that they valued the importance of milestones over the intervention. So we revised the hierarchy of cards to make sure the information flows after one another. The third is milestones page. So users didn't realize each milestone was interactable, which prompted us to optimize affordances and clarify which elements of the interface were able to be interacted with. So users were also confused as to what to do after reading the list of milestones too. So we changed the list view into like a carousel looking view to show that it's more clickable. And also once they click on the milestone, this would give access to the interventions connected to the specific milestones. And lastly is the inspiration page. So users really enjoyed the curated experience, but wanted a way to explore content like beyond their interest of genre. So we changed the inspiration board to be categorized into different sections. So there's 3 sections, the first being the similar interests of their genre. So in this case, Angel is interested in fashion. The second card is the Creator Academy tips. And third is explore other genres.
So before we dive into our final design, this is what Studio looks like right now. So again, focusing on a lot on analytics and just generally not very motivating at first glance. And so this is what we imagine Studio to look like. And our team and I are really excited to introduce YouTube Launch, which is a program centered around a series of milestones for new creators to achieve as they learn the ropes of being a YouTuber. Users can track their progress and look back on their milestones on a new tab of the YouTube Studio interface. And they'll also be able to receive personalized feedback and channel updates on their dashboard to steer them towards a healthier, happier, and more productive YouTube experience. And so the dashboard houses everything about Launch in one card. And so you see in the top, there's upcoming milestones, as well as any channel updates and interventions that YouTube suggests for them based on how they've progressed in their YouTube journey so far. And so one important thing to note is that the content of dashboard and the whole Launch program really changes based on the creator's progress and their channel performance. And the Launch program really aims to emphasize personal growth instead of numbers like subscriber or view count. And so we really highlight like small moments for them to celebrate, whether that's uploading their first video or, you know, comparing themselves against like previous of their own videos and not other people.
So milestones are at the heart of a new YouTuber's goal management and task organization. The milestones homepage shows you how you're doing, what you're working on, and where you're headed, all at a glance. While the milestones history page is a place for you to look back on and celebrate all of your milestones as a creator. Clicking on each milestone will lead you into an individualized milestone page that represents each individual milestone. For each individual milestone, we give personalized guidance and targeted interventions to help you reach a specific milestone, with all of these resources being in one place.
Yeah, so here's what Angel will see once she clicks onto the inspiration tab. So the main goal of this page is to inspire and motivate content creators as they figure out their niche and purpose. And so these two screens to the left are for two different YouTubers who have different genre interests. And the second is success stories / articles. So Angel can also read articles by similar creators about their experiences provided by YouTube Studio as well. And then when they click on the video inspiration board, the purpose of this inspiration board is for Angel to gain inspiration as she is planning her first video. The list of videos is curated and categorized, is like a categorized list by YouTube Studio, split into similar interests, Creator Academy tips, and an exploration. Yeah, so thank you so much, everyone, for listening to our presentation. We'd also like to thank our YouTube team, Brian, Constantine, and Shuang, for supporting us throughout this semester. We really appreciate you all.
Awesome, amazing work, YouTube. As an aspiring YouTuber myself, I would really, really love this. I'm just kidding, not really. Okay, next up, Netflix. And this is our last presentation for our showcase, so yeah.
Awesome, okay. Hi everyone, we are Team Netflix and welcome to Project Please Don't Leave. We really hope that you enjoyed all the presentations tonight and can't wait to share ours. So before we dive in, let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, my name is Zoya and I'm the project mentor for this project.
Hi, I'm Asia and I was the research lead.
Hi, I'm Kelly and I was the first half of the synthesis lead.
I'm Vivian and I led the second half of synthesis.
And I'm Ethelene and I led deliverables at the end.
All right, so now you might be wondering, what is Project Please Don't Leave all about? So as you may already know, Netflix is the world's leading streaming entertainment platform with currently 195 million paid memberships. The problem we face is that many Netflix members keep leaving and returning Netflix, and they feel comfortable taking what they want and leaving without having any desire for a consistent membership, which we call churning. This semester, we worked with Netflix's UX research team on Please Don't Leave to uncover the lesser-known reasons as to why members come and go and how to make them more inclined to stay. So our project is very heavily focused on user research. So we'll start by walking through our research, then move into our synthesis, and then finally wrap up with ideation and recommendations. So diving into our first section, we sought to understand why members left in the first place through user research. And so the overarching question that we aimed to develop was, how does Netflix stack up in a relationship? And so in order to unpack this company-user relationship further, we explored the metaphor of an ideal human relationship through secondary research. And to grasp this metaphor better, we're gonna ask you guys to think about a meaningful relationship partner in your life. This can be your mom, like a significant other, a celebrity crush, your dog, anything. And just think about what the most important aspects of this relationship are and what you would want out of it. And so take a moment to think about this. And in the meantime, from our secondary research, we identified the 5 main components of
this relationship, having first basic needs, for example, looks and humor, then trust and reciprocity, feeling secure in that they won't cheat on you, connection and belonging, which is feeling loved and supported, communication and mutual respect, and finally, stability and shared values, which is long-term success and being on the same page. And so these components are what our whole presentation will be structured upon, but in the context of Netflix as a relationship partner. So with this relationship in mind, we conducted secondary research about relationships and competitive analysis, which gave us background information about these parasocial bonds. Then we did 1-hour interviews with 13 ex-members and rejoiners, and then finally a survey with 344 members and leavers. So following secondary research, we started episode 1, which allowed us to get to know ex-members and rejoiners and their feelings on a personal level. Some of the things we wanted to learn more about from our 13 interviewees were account information, members' relationship with Netflix, their feelings about leaving or rejoining, and finally their reflections on leaving or wanting to leave Netflix. And so after affinity mapping these interview insights, we moved into episode 2, which was further identifying patterns by creating a concept map to visualize relationships between grander themes. So upon analyzing and making sense of these interviews, we were able to group insights into 3 overlapping branches, the 3 R's, which are relationship, reputation, and reliability. And so this is the final product of our map, which is entitled The Way Back to Their Hearts. As you can see, there are many links stemming from the main 3 R's and into sub-themes and values such as social relevance, having shared values. And so these are the things that were voiced in our interviews. Since it's quite complex, we won't go into too much detail, but it was essential to see the links between concepts and pain points here. And so now that we understand the main pain points, we started episode 3 of research that asked a series of possible reasons for cancellation through a survey and gauged how strongly members agree and disagree with these statements. And then we did a factor analysis to find correlations. And so these are the top 10 deal breakers, which is a small subset of our survey data, which includes all those who indicated that they, or excludes all those who indicated that they strongly love Netflix, totaling to 292 people. We can see that the main reasons are not enough good content, price, and such as that. And those are the reasons that we already knew. But now we can also see that there are more subtle reasons stacked up against these main 3. These include that Netflix is not helping people be a better person, that people can improve their experiences, and that Netflix isn't keeping up with the times. And then finally, factor analysis was important for us to figure out which potential issues trended together. And so first we extracted 5 main components from the survey data and then used PCA to reveal which reasons are related to each other. And so our main component grouped together relationship yearners, people who want a relationship with Netflix, which indicates a group of people who are generally distrustful of Netflix and their intentions and canceled because of this. And overall, our factor analysis helped us create structure and meaning from all of our data.
Okay, so next slide. Okay, so for the next section, we developed the parasocial relationship hierarchy of needs, which mirrors the theory proposed by psychologist Abraham Maslow. So Maslow argues that there are 5 stages of human needs that motivate behavior. Our goal was to basically visualize and understand the types of relationships that people form with Netflix. So similar to the ups and downs of a relationship, we organized each level of the pyramid in terms of strengths and weaknesses, which take into account how members and ex-members perceive Netflix. So starting at the very bottom level of the pyramid is basic needs. This includes being able to find content quickly and at an affordable price. So one of Netflix's strengths is the fact that the user interface is really straightforward and accessible. So our quote here from Akshay shows that people really like how the website looks and feels. On the other side, we have weaknesses such as difficulty finding content. People find that they're wasting time looking instead of actually watching anything. So the next level of the pyramid is safety and security. In a good relationship, your partner looks out for you, and Netflix does this by showing basic login activity to warn you whenever someone is using your account. However, your partner should also be fully committed to keeping you safe and protected by resolving issues with hacking, as well as giving proof that large companies can be trusted, but some members do not feel this way. After that is love and belonging, which is how well your partner can support you emotionally. On the left side, a good partner makes you feel connected to friends and family, essentially being a part of the community. However, a bad partner fails to show their appreciation of you, and some customers feel this way due to a lack of loyalty perks offered to them. So one of our interviewees, Thomas, said that there should be more feedback and communication between Netflix and their customers. So the next level of the pyramid is self-esteem. Basically, does your partner help you feel confident and respected by others? For strengths, members appreciate being able to feel valued by their peers and feeling good about learning, so basically deriving meaning from the content that they consume. However, on the right side, a bad relationship partner doesn't celebrate your achievements or your loyalty, and specifically, some feel that Netflix encourages unhealthy watching habits such as binging. Okay, so for the final and highest level, we have self-actualization, which is understanding what a company actually stands for. A good relationship partner is confident and takes initiative, so one of our interviewees voiced her appreciation for the fact that Netflix led the move in showing a lot of Black Lives Matter content. However, on the other side, a bad relationship partner lacks morals and good intentions. So people who dislike Netflix feel that their company actions lack transparency and oftentimes resemble performative activism. And lastly, your partner is creative and innovative. So some members still appreciate Netflix for being the very first to transform the streaming industry, but unfortunately, this reputation has not lasted, especially with the rise of so many competitors making Netflix difficult to stand out.
Okay, so from our findings, we also created 4 distinct archetypes of members based on their reasons for canceling Netflix. We ended up calling them the outspoken communicator, the moralist researcher, the social follower, and the heartless transactional. Later on, we realized that their needs and pain points resemble actual human relationships, which led us to also refer to them as the hopeful ex, the messy breakup, the friends with benefits, and the casual hookup. Next. We call the outspoken communicator the hopeful ex because they did and still do like Netflix, but there are still some parts of it they want changed. They're hopeful Netflix can get better, essentially, if they have a more personal connection to their members. Some of their pain points are recommendations they don't like and not feeling like they can give feedback to improve them with just using the thumbs feature. Next. For the moralist researcher, it's more of a messy breakup because it's about disagreeing on fundamental values. This person left Netflix because they struggled to compromise their values over Netflix's decisions to show certain content that is controversial or potentially harmful because it's not flagged for being pseudoscience. This type of cancellation becomes an issue with trust and is messy because it'll probably be the hardest for Netflix to reconcile with because they're so disappointed in Netflix. The third persona we created is the social follower who uses Netflix solely for the benefits like social approval and status. They want to stay in the loop of what's trending and also be seen to have good taste by their peers. However, they're frustrated by Netflix's lack of presence on social media, and they also want Netflix to have a good reputation because they don't want to support something that could get canceled like cuties. And lastly, the heartless transactional doesn't care about anything on the pyramid except for the last 2 layers, which are safety and basic needs like price, content, and how Netflix stands out from its competitors. Their relationship with Netflix might resemble a casual hookup because they're not looking to commit to Netflix or anything. They really just want what's the best and most convenient option at any moment for them. And we began to notice that as we delved deeper into synthesizing our research, that if these members had a better relationship with Netflix, it might have stopped them from leaving, or at least make them more inclined to stay when they normally would leave. Finally, we gained insights into why members keep breaking up and getting back together with Netflix. These overarching ideas don't line up exactly with each persona that I mentioned before, but each persona from before portrays these to a greater or lesser extent. So the first reason is that some members don't want to commit to Netflix because they don't see Netflix making an effort to improve by listening to their feedback. Essentially, they don't feel heard or valued as a member. And the second reason is because they don't have a personal relationship to Netflix. These members either don't feel a need to commit since Netflix will always be there, while others would like to have a more personal relationship with Netflix. And then the third reason is because of controversy. Some members get swayed by public pressure to cancel Netflix and boycott controversial content. And lastly, sometimes Netflix is just not a priority because some members find it's too time consuming to find and even watch a movie compared to other competitors, or they feel guilty about binge watching too much. Next.
So now that we have all this research, how do we actually apply it to the Netflix service? How can we improve these member relationships? So what questions should we be asking now that we have all this data? So first of all, how might we make members more inclined to stay or to come back to Netflix? You might say that we have unrequited feelings, kind of sticking with the metaphor. So how might we make transactional members more inclined to want a relationship with Netflix? Or in general, how can we make people who aren't looking for a meaningful relationship change their mind? Using the theory or hypothesis of reciprocal liking, people tend to like others who like them, or better stated, we tend to like people who like us. So how can we show members that we like and value them and maybe get them to feel the same way? So in our interviews, we explored a bunch of ideas and themes that Netflix could foster. The majority of interviewees reacted positively to social features that emphasize community, educational, and learning features, more ways to give feedback to the service, more features that emphasize what values people support and that Netflix would support, and a more emotional way of canceling, saying, "We will miss you," for example. But yeah, even there are a lot of people who are already a fan of Netflix and don't plan on leaving, but they still want more representation and personalization. So given all this information, how might we improve existing parts of Netflix to address the issues we found? So one major part of this is the recommendation system, the algorithm, and how content is presented. We know already that personalization and the recommendations represent the relationship users have with Netflix, and they kind of use it as a measure for how good their relationship is. So using content presentation to show members that Netflix is actually listening and caring to them, flagging content for being controversial and harmful can foster that trust between the user and Netflix. In general, adding visual cues for transparency, personalization, and the implementation of feedback will strengthen that relationship. Another main thing is messaging, which is direct communication with the user. How can we strengthen this communication with the user? How can we make sure that they feel heard and considered and that their feedback is actually doing something? And lastly, how content is received and given to the user. So how can we make sure that if someone shows interest in a show or if they start it, that they don't lose a chance to see it if it leaves the platform? So, sorry, it's really cold in here. I'm like shivering this whole time. But yeah, to go back over the presentation as a whole, we first understood why members leave. And we found that basically their needs and priorities lie in the 3 R's: reputation, relationship, and reliability. Secondly, we made the parasocial relationship hierarchy based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and that captures the low to high level needs of the relationship with Netflix. And then we explored emerging relationship patterns through personas. And we discovered that many of the problems that lead to churning or canceling results from Netflix not being a good relationship partner. And lastly, I just talked about how we can improve member relationships. So how Netflix can rethink the recommendation system, messaging, and content decisions. And yeah, thanks for listening. And also thanks to our client Victoria for all of her help and encouragement. And just, this is a really great project to work on. I'm super thankful.
Wow, amazing. I think on behalf of literally everyone on this call, that was incredible. Amazing work with the deck and everything. All right, that wraps up our showcase for this semester. Thank you all so much for joining and listening to all of our consultants and the incredible work that they've done. Everyone put in so much work this semester and it really shows. So congratulations to all the team. Thank you so much to our clients and the companies that we worked with this semester. Yeah, we're so grateful to be able to do this. And so thank you for taking the time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening.
Current BI members should stay for the next couple presentations.
Yes. I want to let me know just BI.
Jesse, can we start removing people that are not in BI?
Also, Jesse, make sure to keep our client.
Yeah.
Wait, I think we're good.
We're not yet.
Oh, there's.
Oh. Potentially.
Oh yeah, also we're stop the recording.
Okay. Well, you want me to like start a new recording? Or?
Oh no, I don't think we need to record. I don't think we can record this portion.